my YouTube channel. Today I will be going through all of the books that I want to read in March. I've picked out 9 books. I don't typically like to pick out my books before I read them because I feel like it puts me in a book slump and I don't read the books I've picked and I don't read any books. But I want to try it this month. I've picked a selection of different genres, different books, different lengths as well. I've also only picked 9 because I feel like I'll be able to maybe pick 1 or 2 just off of like a mood read. I am definitely a mood reader. I go from like one book takes me into another and I kind of flow through them like that. I do have high hopes for reading this month. If you haven't looked at the calendar yet, March is a very satisfying month. We have the weekend and then 4 full weeks, so I think I'll be able to do a lot of reading. The first book I've picked for March is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This is a fantasy, adventure, magical realism book which follows Emily Wilde, whose life's wish is to create an encyclopedia on fairy lore. She's this kind of very antisocial character and she is setting out on an adventure with limited skills. I think this will just be super cozy. It's a cozy fantasy to read in a day. It's not too long and I keep seeing it everywhere, so I definitely want to read it this March. I then would like to read Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zorna. This book was gifted to me by my wonderful friend Torre and has been on my list and my shelf for far too long now. The memoir is about the author growing up as a Korean American and how she deals with the loss of her mother due to cancer at 25. I think this book is a lot to do with her identity as a Korean American woman and kind of getting back in touch with the things that her mother taught her about. I think food is one of the most prevalent things in this memoir, but that's all I really know about it and I'm really excited to read this. I've been in my memoir kick at the moment. I love them. I am reading a lot of them, but yeah, very excited. I've heard brilliant things about this one. Next up, I have selected In the Miso Soup by Ryu Murakami. My boyfriend has been wanting me to read this for a long time. It is Japanese literature, a horror, very short, one-day job. I thought I would read it this month. The synopsis says it's just before New Year and Frank, an overweight American tourist, has hired Kenji to take him on a guided tour of Tokyo's nightlife. Frank's behaviour is so odd that Kenji begins to entertain a horrible suspicion. His client may in fact have murderous desires. Although Kenji is far from innocent himself, he unwillingly descends with Frank into an inferno of evil from which only his 16-year-old girlfriend, Jun, can possibly save him. Sounds really cool actually. I think I forgot what this is about. The art, this cover is so cool. So cool. Reads like the script notes for American Psycho. I think I might read this next. This is so cool. I didn't really know what it was about. I bought it ages ago and kind of forgot. But my boyfriend has said it's fantastic and it sounds it. I'm gonna look up some reviews on this and give it a go. But that is the next book that I'd like to pick up. I'm feeling a good sense of a mix of genres this month. Sometimes I just read like one thing. February I had quite a diverse reading month in terms of genre, and so I'd like to bring that through to March as well. Next up I have She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. I picked this for my book club at university last year, but I picked it in like exam season. I didn't get to finish it, and so I've picked this up again to read. This is a historical fantasy fiction. This follows the main character Zhu. I remember at the start of the novel she is kind of living in poverty and her brother dies, so she kind of snatches the opportunity to steal his identity and take his destiny of being this kind of great emperor, warrior, set in China in 1345. And I remember really enjoying this. I'm on page maybe like 150, but I keep seeing this again now kind of make its resurgence in the reading world, and I'm really excited. I think I'm intimidated by it. It's not very fast paced because it's so intricate with like historical like dates and settings and stuff like that, so it's hard to read, but I've heard it's really fantastic. And I also want to get the sequel, He Who Drowned the World, but I'm not going to do that until I've read this book. I also want to read This Is How You Lose the Time Warp by Max Gladstone, another book that my boyfriend has read and will not stop badgering me to read. All I know about this book is it's a science fiction with a subplot of romance. I don't know, there's a war, there's burning letters, I think. Let me have a look at the synopsis. I'm quite confused by the synopsis of this book. I don't really know what to expect, and I don't really read much science fiction. Among the ashes of a dying world, an agent of the commandment finds a letter. It reads, "Burn before reading." Red and blue, two rival agents, hell-bent on securing the best possible future for their warring factions, strike up an unlikely correspondence. But what started as a taunt, a battlefield boast, grows into something more, something epic and romantic. Enemies to lovers. Something that could change the past and the future. The discovery of their bond will mean their deaths. There's still a war going on, and someone has to win that war. That's how wars work, right? Oh, this is co-written. I didn't even see. Amal El Motar and Max Gladstone. I did not notice that before. This is written by two authors. Very short, science fiction. I thought it would be good to try this out. I then clearly want to traumatise myself for the rest of my life because I want to read A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. This is a literary fiction, contemporary, LGBTQ+. And this follows four college friends living in New York, kind of follows the mundanity of their little lives and things they experience, and kind of how they process their past experiences. And this is just supposed to be one of the most depressing, harrowing, triggering, sad books ever. And I read like the first 50 pages, could not get into it, but I'm determined. I think March is a good month to cry, reflect, feel sad things, getting ready for the spring where I am going to be a new person with all of this big book fear. I think the text is so small as well. Everyone knows about this book, but do look up the trigger warnings. I am well prepared. I know what I'm getting into. Very, very excited to. I just love like memoirs at the moment. This isn't a memoir, but what I mean by that is I love reading about people's lives, and although this is fiction, I know it really hones in on the mundanity and people's experiences and like trials and tribulations and the ebbs and flows of life, and like expectations and how we cope with when things don't go right. And I'm really, really obsessed with that as a concept at the moment, so I'm really looking forward to this book, and I thought it would be a good one to read this month. This will probably take a good few days though. This is going to take a while to read for me, but yeah, super excited. I then want to read Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is a YA romantasy novel following two journalists. It's like enemies to lovers. There's like magical elements, I think, with a magic typewriter, and they are like enemies competing with each other by day, and then by night they write to each other, and they don't know who they're speaking to. But this is just going to be a sweet romance fantasy novel. I have picked a really good range of genres this month, I think. I really hope I do read all these books, and then I think this will set me up to read the sequel to this in April. I then picked Yellow Face by Rebecca. It's weird to read her name like that. Isn't normally R.F. Kuang. Rebecca F. Kuang. This is a thriller following Athena and June. I have started this book, but I went on a trip and didn't want to bring the hardback with me, so I have read the very first, I think I've read 6% of this book, but it follows Athena, this writer who is very popular. She really made a name for herself, like coming out of college, and her kind of counterpart, June, is flopping. They meet up to celebrate, and Athena dies. June then steals Athena's manuscript and publishes it as her own work. I don't really know what else happens, but it's a thriller. I think it's kind of like following how far June will go, and kind of explores like wider issues such as like cultural appropriation, racism, and makes a commentary on the publishing industry and how these issues are being dealt with now. This is a thriller. I'm really excited to read this. Everyone is talking about this, and I've wanted to read it for a long time. My sister also bought me this for Christmas, and she has been non-stop asking me when I'm going to read it, why haven't I read it, even though she doesn't read, and she doesn't know that getting books and reading books are two different hobbies, and also has not read the book that I've been begging her to read for years, months actually. But yeah, super excited to finish this. I think I'm going to pick this up today. Like I said, I went away on a trip and I was really sad because I didn't want to bring a hardback with me, but super excited. Last but not least, I took the dust cover off, but I would like to finish Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I picked this up immediately after finishing Fourth Wing and couldn't really get into it. I think because Fourth Wing was so fast paced, it kind of just took it out of me, took me out of the romantic mood. But this is the sequel to, I just said it, Fourth Wing. It's a fantasy romance novel following the, I can't even remember what the character's called. Violet, and the guy. Why can't I remember? I'm having such a bad brain day. So the main character, Violet, is now in her second year at the War College, but she's kind of unearthed some truths and like things that are going on. I think like a revolution type plot line behind the scenes. I don't want to give any spoilers for the first book, so I'll kind of leave it there. I don't really know how else to talk about this book without talking about the events in the first novel. But this is definitely less fast paced than the first one because I stopped reading it, so but yeah, I'm wanting to finish this, get it off the list, and then I can get into some different series and romantasy duologies next month. So that is all for today's video. Those are the 9 books that I would like to read this month. I really hope that I do. Like I said, this doesn't really work for me, picking out books that I want to read, but I think I've given myself a good enough mix that I can kind of definitely be in the mood to read something. I'm definitely in the mood to read a lot of them now. So yeah, let me know what you're reading in March, and I will see you in the wrap-up video where I definitely will read all 9 of these books. I'm hoping to read 11 or 12 this month. That's kind of my average so far. Not average. I think I read 11 in January and 10 in Feb. But I'm super excited to get through these. I will let you know what I think in my wrap-up video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and a comment and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. I can't speak today. Oh, pins and needles. Pins and needles. I need a sandwich.